It's a rare condition this day and age to read any good news on the newspaper page. And love and tradition are the grand design some people say is even harder to find. Well, then there must be some magic clue inside these gentle walls, 'cause all I see is a tower of dreams, real love bursting out in every scene. As days go by, it's a bigger love, the family.
Hey, welcome to Family Matters this week, and we're excited for this series. We're in the second week of this, where we're really looking at why does family matter? Why is it important? Last week we looked at the importance of having priorities within our lives and in our families' lives. This week we're looking at family systems and different things like that. And so, just a reminder. These are my Steve Urkel glasses. We are in our Shore Church living room right here.
Yes.
And Carl is Carl Winslow.
Yes.
Pastor / police officer.
That's me.
Anyway, so Carl, let's jump in. What are we looking at with this idea of family systems? What do we mean here?
Okay, so the idea of family systems, I actually think that term comes from a psychology or something like that, where it's just talking about how when you get a group of people and they're all together, then there's a system of how they end up interacting with each other, and there can be incredible pressure on different people to act a certain way because they're in this system and that's what's expected from them. And then also out of that family system, you can pretty much guess what's going to come out of it, because you're going to produce people that follow the same kind of system. Yeah. So anyway,
that family cycle.
It's a family cycle, and so prime example in our Old Testament is Abraham, and then his descendants, and what we see going on in that family. So when you and I were talking, you even brought up right away, you've got Abraham and Sarai. I don't think her name was Sarah yet, but it doesn't matter. They end up lying about the fact that Abraham's like, well, we're going to this place, and I want people to treat us good, and I'm afraid for me. I'm afraid they'll kill me, and to take you. Tell them you're my sister, and they were half siblings. Yeah. But tell them you're my sister, and so they do that. Yeah. Twice.
Right. 2 different times. Abraham is deceiving people about his wife Sarah, and
similar outcome.
And then we see his son Isaac years later do the exact same thing with his wife Rebecca. He says, "Tell them you're my sister, and because I'm afraid for my own life." And so there, you have this cycle of deception, and then that really comes out full bore in the life of Jacob, who deceives his brother Esau. He deceives his father Jacob, and then he goes and lives with his uncle Laban and deceives him out of wealth and livestock and all of this stuff, and it's just lives this life of deception. So we're in the 3rd generation now of deception. And then that even we see Jacob's sons, different instances of deception.
So you can see what's being passed on with all of those. And it's interesting too then, as we were talking, talking about and thinking about, last week we were talking about priorities in the family and what are your priorities, and God has to be that first allegiance. But what you see here when Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, they're afraid for themselves, well then their priorities are themselves, and then look what happens in the family, and that continues to happen until the priority for their self isn't the most important thing. So that's a family system, what you do and how you act, and then that gets passed on to the next generation, and then it continues. And so if it's a poor cycle, it's a poor cycle that continues. And so what you want is, how can you pass along the things that matter the most? Priority with God, relationship with God, serving other people, all of that kind of thing.
Yeah, and so looking at, what does your family system look like? Is it a system that you need to break out of and start a new system so that you can pass that on to the next generations in your family? Or what are things that you need to tweak in your family system to change a little bit to pass on that healthy family system of God being the first allegiance and putting others ahead of self?
So if you're looking for a specific scripture, it's a large group. It's basically
the second half of Genesis.
There you got it, from like 25 and on, and that's the story where Abraham and Isaac, and then just as it continues on.
Basically the story of their families, yeah.
And what happens with them, and if as you look through that, just recognize there are some times when it changes. When Jacob's name is changed to Israel because he wrestles with either God or an angel of God in the night, then he becomes different. And then when Joseph, and he's revealing who he is to his brothers, but he doesn't until Judah lets him know, what, keep me, and then send all my other brothers home so that my father's going to be okay. All of a sudden, Judah's not thinking just for himself. And so those are just little key points where the cycle is getting broken. And so it's important. So again, just it does matter, priorities that we talked about last week, but then it also matters in how we interact with each other, and what do we focus on, and how are we deciding what gets passed on down. So
right. Yeah, awesome. Okay. Well, we hope to see you on Sunday, where Carl will bring a sermon on this idea of family systems and explain why does family matter. And if you're comfortable and wanting to come, we're more than happy to have you. But if you feel more comfortable staying home, the sermon is going to be recorded and posted on YouTube and our social media pages as well. So, we hope to see you.
Take care.
We're gonna fill our house with happiness. We may cry, but we'll smother the